"We don't serve your type here." The words cut through the warm evening air of Bella Vista, the upscale Italian restaurant in downtown Miami. Marco Santini, the head manager, stood at the hostess station with his chest puffed out and his decision already made. He wasn't trying to be subtle. He wanted everyone to hear him dismiss the black woman standing before him in casual clothes, assuming she didn't belong in his world of white tablecloths and $50 entrees. What Marco didn't know was that in exactly 9 minutes, the woman he was trying to humiliate would walk back into his restaurant as the owner of the entire chain and terminate every single person who had just participated in her degradation. Before we dive deeper, let me know where you're watching from by commenting your city below. And if this story of justice served cold made you stop scrolling, smash that subscribe button and give this video a like. Now let's rewind to see how this moment of reckoning began. Zara Mitchell pushed through the heavy glass doors of Bella Vista alone. No entourage, no designer handbag, no obvious wealth markers, just a simple black dress, comfortable flats, and the quiet confidence of someone who had fought for everything she owned. Her steps across the polished marble floor were measured and purposeful, but her casual appearance immediately drew suspicious glances from the staff. At the hostess station stood Marco Santini, 45, flanked by his crew, Isabella Rodriguez, 28, the assistant manager with perfectly styled hair and a condescending smile, and Thomas Chen, 32, the head waiter whose arms were already crossed in judgment before Zara even spoke. None of them offered a greeting. No welcoming smile. Just 3 pairs of eyes scanning her up and down like she was an unwelcome intruder. "I have a reservation," Zara said calmly. "Private dining room. The name is Mitchell." Marco's eyebrows shot up in exaggerated disbelief. "Private dining room?" He repeated the words like they tasted bitter. "Those are reserved for our VIP clients. Are you sure you called the right restaurant?" Zara didn't take the bait. She simply reached into her purse and placed her ID and platinum credit card on the marble counter. "Zara Mitchell, table for 8 at 7 p.m. Marco picked up the cards with obvious reluctance, holding them like they might contaminate him. He muttered, loud enough for nearby diners to hear. "This seems irregular." Isabella leaned over to examine the cards, then whispered something to Thomas that made him snicker. The sound carried across the entrance area, drawing stares from the other patrons. "You know," Thomas said, stepping forward with a theatrical sigh, "we get people trying this all the time. Fake reservations, stolen cards. It's really quite sad." From a corner table, Marcus Williams, a food blogger from Atlanta, had already started recording on his phone. "This is unbelievable," he whispered to his dinner companion, Dr. Sarah Kim. "They're profiling her right in front of everyone." Sarah pulled out her phone too. "I'm going live," she announced loudly. "People need to see what's happening at Bella Vista right now." Near the bar, Luis Morales, a young server who had been watching the exchange with growing discomfort, took a step toward the hostess station. But Isabella caught his eye and shook her head sharply, a clear warning to stay out of it. "Ma'am," Marco said, his voice dripping with false politeness, "I'm going to need to verify this card before we can seat you." He held up her credit card. "We've had issues with fraud lately." Zara's expression remained unchanged. "Go ahead, verify it." But instead of running the card through their system, Marco handed it to Thomas. "Lock this up until we can call the bank in the morning," he said loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. Thomas walked over to the restaurant's safe behind the hostess station, making a show of placing the card inside and turning the lock. "Can't be too careful," he announced to no one in particular. Marcus Williams lowered his phone and stepped closer. "Excuse me, but did you just confiscate this woman's credit card?" "Sir, please return to your table," Isabella snapped. "This doesn't concern you." Actually, it does, Sarah said, still streaming live. We're watching discrimination happen in real time. This is 2025, not 1955. More phones came out. Other diners began shifting in their seats, some standing to get a better view of the confrontation. Zara pulled out her phone and sent a quick text. 3 blocks away, in a sleek corporate office, her executive assistant, James Rodriguez, immediately answered his phone. "It's happening," Zara said quietly. "The board is standing by," James replied. "Say the word." Marco was enjoying the attention now, clearly believing he was in control of the situation. "Look, I'm sorry if this is embarrassing, but we have protocols. People try to scam upscale restaurants all the time." "What kind of scam?" Zara asked, her voice deadly calm. "You know," Marco gestured vaguely, "pretending to be someone you're not, acting like you belong somewhere you don't." A woman at a nearby table gasped audibly. A man in a business suit stood up and pulled out his wallet. "I'm paying my check and leaving," he announced. "This is disgusting." Lewis finally stepped forward, his voice shaking slightly. "Her reservation is real. I took the call myself yesterday. VIP dining room. Party of 8, Mitchell." Marco spun around, his face flushing red. "One more word from you and you're fired." But Lewis didn't back down. "Then fire me, but I won't stand here and watch this." That's when Isabella made the mistake that would end her career. She grabbed Zara's arm and started pulling her toward the door. "You need to leave, now." The moment Isabella's hand made contact, the restaurant erupted. Phones flashed, voices raised in protest. Marcus Williams shouted, "You just assaulted a customer." Sarah's live stream exploded with comments. "This is insane. Call the police. What restaurant is this?" Zara gently but firmly removed Isabella's hand from her arm. Her voice remained steady, but every word carried the weight of absolute authority. "You've just made the biggest mistake of your career." "I don't think so," Marco sneered, still believing he held all the power. "Security!" 2 security guards approached, but they hesitated when they saw the crowd of phones recording everything. "You want to call security?" Zara asked. "Go ahead, but first let me make a call of my own." She raised her phone to her ear. "James, initiate the board meeting. Full staff review, effective immediately." Marco laughed. "Lady, you can call whoever you want. You don't belong here." Zara looked directly into his eyes. "Actually, I own here." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. For a moment, nobody moved. Thomas scoffed. "Right, and I'm the Pope." That's when Zara's phone rang. She answered it on speaker. "Ms. Mitchell?" The voice was crisp, professional. "This is David Chen, your head of operations. The board is assembled and ready for your directive." Marco's confident expression began to crack. "That's not possible." Zara turned to face the growing crowd of diners and staff. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Zara Mitchell, CEO and owner of the Bella Vista Restaurant Group. What you've witnessed tonight is exactly the kind of discrimination I've built my career fighting against." The restaurant fell silent, except for the sound of phones recording every word. 5 years ago, I was refused service at a restaurant very much like this one. The manager told me I didn't fit their clientele. That night, I decided to build something better. Today, Bella Vista employs over 3,000 people across 12 states. We have a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination of any kind. Marco was now visibly shaking. "Ms. Mitchell, there's been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Zara replied. "You saw a black woman in casual clothes and decided she didn't belong in your restaurant. You confiscated her credit card, refused her service, and when challenged, you doubled down. This is exactly what happened to me 5 years ago. The difference is, now I'm in a position to do something about it." Isabella tried to interrupt. "We were just following protocol." "Whose protocol?" Zara cut her off. "Show me where in the Bella Vista employee handbook it says to confiscate customers' credit cards based on their appearance. Show me where it says to physically remove guests who've done nothing wrong." She turned back to her phone. "James, Are you recording this? Every word, Ms. Mitchell. Good. Marco Santini, Isabella Rodriguez, Thomas Chen, you're terminated. Effective immediately. Security, please escort them from the premises. The security guards who moments before had been called to remove Zara now moved toward the staff members who had discriminated against her. You can't do this, Marco protested. I can, and I am, Zara replied. Luis Morales, however, showed integrity in a difficult situation. Luis, would you be interested in the position of general manager? Luis, who had been standing frozen in shock, managed to nod. Good. James, prepare the paperwork. As Marco, Isabella, and Thomas were escorted out, the restaurant broke into spontaneous applause. Marcus Williams approached Zara with his phone still recording. Miss Mitchell, can you tell us what went through your mind during this confrontation? The same thing that goes through any person's mind when they're judged solely on their appearance, Zara replied. Disappointment, anger, but also determination. This kind of treatment is exactly why representation matters in business ownership. Sarah, still streaming live, asked, what message do you want people to take from this? That discrimination has consequences, Zara said simply. And that sometimes the person you're discriminating against has the power to hold you accountable. Over the next hour, the story exploded across social media. Hashtag Bella Vista Justice began trending. The restaurant's corporate office was flooded with calls, some supporting Zara's actions, others demanding accountability for what they'd witnessed. By the end of the week, Bella Vista had implemented new diversity training programs across all locations. Marco, Isabella, and Thomas found themselves blacklisted from the hospitality industry. Their discrimination caught on camera and shared millions of times. But the moment that resonated most with viewers was when Zara, after everything had settled down, finally sat down in that private dining room she had originally reserved. Her 7 guests, all successful Black entrepreneurs and community leaders, joined her for what became not just a dinner, but a celebration of justice served. As Luis, now promoted to general manager, brought out the first course, Zara looked around the table and smiled. Sometimes, she said, the best revenge is simply being exactly who they said you couldn't be. The story of that night at Bella Vista became more than just a viral video. It became a reminder that dignity isn't determined by what you wear or how much money you appear to have. It's determined by how you treat others. And sometimes, how you respond when others fail to treat you with basic respect. 9 minutes. That's all it took for the tables to turn completely. 9 minutes for justice to be served alongside the breadsticks. And 9 minutes for 3 people to learn that assumptions can cost you everything. What would you have done in Zara's position? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of the justice and accountability.